The food service, hospitality, and retail industries are evolving in ways you've never heard of until now. Hosted by global industry technovator Rob Grimes and powered by the IFBTA, TechBytes is your go-to podcast, putting technology innovation and trends on the menu.
So welcome back to an edition of TechBytes, actually from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and the iFood Move conference. And when you travel the world, you run into friends you know. And Ricardo Bomeny, who is my conversation partner today, talking about the Brazilian market, is the CEO of BFFC here. And so welcome to TechBytes.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's a great pleasure to receive you here in Sao Paulo, in Brazil. We've been many times in the US during the NRA, during the YPO events, right? And sometimes here in Brazil as well. So it's a great pleasure to...
I should point out, we met in YPO, the Young Presidents Organization. I think we're still in it, but we may not be as young as we were when we first met. But we've known each other a long time at many industry events, YPO events, as you've said, and also franchising events, which we'll get to in a bit. But why don't you tell us a little bit about BFFC?
Oh, yes, of course. BFFC is a holding company that owns two brands. One of them is Bob's, which is a burger chain. It is a pioneer.
The best burger chain.
Oh, thank you. It's a pioneer in Brazil. It was founded by an American in 1952. So we have 73 years old.
Was his name Bob?
Yeah, Robert, yes. Okay. So this is why the name is Bob's. And then we have a frozen yogurt concept, which is called Yogi. And then we are franchisee, the biggest franchisee of Pizza Hut and KFC here in Brazil. We do have like 80 units, but we just operate those units in Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo.
Right.
And Bob's is spread all around the country. So we have more than 1,000 stores. Mm-hmm. It's 150 stores right now.
It's a lot of stores, all in Brazil.
All in Brazil, yeah.
So, in Bob's, is Bob's a franchised organization? Do you have franchisees?
We have 250 franchisees. I would say that they are like 85% of the company, right? We do have some company-owned stores as well, but the majority are franchisees, and they are, spread all around. And we only operate company stores in Rio and Sao Paulo as well because we have the headquarters in Rio and Sao Paulo. Right. This is the reason.
So we'll come back to the franchise thing, but what you've just told us is you're a franchisor and a franchisee.
Yes.
So you have multiple hats, but we'll come back to that. So, we're here at this conference and you're speaking here, and I got to speak here, and it's tremendous bringing the industry together. What is your insight in the industry here in Brazil, the restaurant industry, both as a franchisor, franchisee of local brands and global brands?
Yeah. Well, the franchising business in Brazil developed a lot through the years. I had the opportunity, Rob, to be the chairman of the Franchising Association in Brazil for many years. So I had this opportunity to see, the franchising growing in Brazil through the last 30 years. And what happened here in Brazil was because of, tax issues that benefited small companies. So this is the reason why it developed so fast here in Brazil. Even the restaurant industry.
In other words, the tax issue allowed somebody as a small business person to be an entrepreneur, and so franchising obviously was natural.
Paying less tax. This is the reason why it developed so fast. And nowadays we do have some, international companies like McDonald's, like Burger King, Subway, and Outback, and many others.
But they're not as good as Bob's.
Not really. We are very strong, as you said, and we have a very good platform of desserts as well, like milkshakes. But we can compete. I mean,
actually,
we can
you're known
learn
for
with each other.
milkshakes, if I remember, because I've been to Bob's before in Rio, and milkshakes are one of the specialties.
Yes, it is. It continues to be. So we have not only the restaurants, but also the kiosks, what we call the dessert centers, that we sell ice creams and milkshakes with Bob's.
Is that inside the store, outside the store?
Both, but mostly outside.
So where would a kiosk be located?
In shopping malls, airports, terminals, even in streets sometimes.
But it's like a small footprint.
It is very small. The investment is lower than a full restaurant, but it's doing very well at this moment, especially because our country is hot, right?
Right. Well, is it hot because it's a great place to be, or it's hot because it's hot,
Both.
right? No, we get it's both, right? Well, listen, one thing I've learned that being here, and talking to so many people, first of all, it's such a big economy. That's why so many people, focus on it. And even McDonald's, this is one of their biggest countries, and the technology, which we are going to get to, the technology they use globally came from Brazil. And so while some people have said to me while I'm here that, technology isn't as much in Brazil, well, I'm finding that some of the leading global technology, such as what McDonald's is using, actually is from here.
Yeah.
So, so it's a very hot place for both reasons. If you take a look at with your hat on as a franchisor and a franchisee. So as a franchisor, how much, do you get involved with the technology and the data and things, that your franchisees are using?
A lot. First of all, I have to say that we have this opportunity to be the franchisee of Yum Brands, which is the biggest restaurant company in the world, right? So we have this opportunity to go to the conventions, to speak to other franchisees, to speak to the executives of the company, so that we can exchange ideas and we can learn also from them, right? And then in Brazil, we have many technologies that were created here. I give you an example. We were the first company that used the kiosks to order. And then we were the first company that launched the app for
online ordering.
Yes, for the ordering. And right now, we are the first company that put all this together to benefit the journey of the consumer, and also with a robot producing our milkshakes, so that you go to a store. We have one store in Ipanema, which used to be the second store of Bob's, founded.
Right.
This
That's
store,
the one on the beach, right?
It's near the beach.
Yep.
It was founded in 1956, and it's still there. And then we have this journey that you can order by the app, you can order by the kiosk, you can see the robot producing your milkshake, especially the Ovo Maltine, which is very popular for us. And then you grab your food in a locker. So this is a new store that
Is it a hot and cold locker? Can it do heat and cold?
Not now. It's only normal temperature. But you pick it at the moment because you receive a code, right? So you are in the store,
you can open it up,
and you receive a code. Yes.
Well, now, first of all, this is very interesting to me. So let me just make sure I understand something.
Okay.
You understand the nuance of this. So, does the robot actually put it in the locker as well?
Not yet. It is able to do it. But as we are in the beginning of this journey, it's only producing, and the consumer can view this robot. So it's something that is entertain the customer.
And it's in one store. It's a test.
At this moment, it's only in one store. It costs us a lot of time to develop this because it's a Brazilian company. So we helped each other, and we took like 6 months to
Are they going to sell outside of Brazil?
Maybe. And maybe we can, as far as we have this experience, maybe we can put in other stores as well. We don't have a plan to do this right now, but maybe we can launch in 1, 2, 3 flagship stores.
So it's in the yogurt. And so it's doing that piece of it. But you also said that you had kiosks that work independently, right? Small factor. You could, over time, have a robot completely just do the kiosk and not necessarily have to staff it all the time.
Yeah, we can do it, but we have to study the consumer behavior for that. So it's interesting, it's entertaining, but we have to study the consumer behavior.
Well, yeah, you don't want it to just be something for show, right? And it is very expensive today, although the presentation I gave here, we did talk about robots and how they would fit in to be helpers. But we actually talked about small form factor, restaurants, which means growing your brand, not reducing it and getting rid of all the people, but actually growing it that way.
Yes.
But you've also mentioned lockers. So are the lockers only used for this one thing, or are you using lockers at other places too?
We used it before. in some of our stores, not only shopping malls stores, but also in drive-thrus, not only for the customers, but also for the aggregators.
Yes,
to pick up the food. One thing which is important to say is that we double the number of employees in Ipanema. Why we did this? Even though we have the robot, even though we have the locker.
I think people think that it isn't going to. So why?
Yeah, because we doubled the turnover of the store. So we are selling the double that we used to sell before because we refurbished the store, right?
You refurbish the store in order to be able to accommodate the technology.
Yes.
See, people don't think that way.
But I don't think that way. But I would say that the kitchen is exactly the same in any place, even in this store or in a drive-thru or in a shopping mall. And we do have some people outside because we have seats. So they have to clean the seats and they have to help the customer as well.
You have to be hospitable.
Yes.
So we're not taking that out of this yet, right? Because we're starting to see those robots that go out and deliver the food, have faces on it, can talk to you, but we're not quite there yet. But I actually find that interesting because the natural thing that people say is you're going to go ahead and put robots in, or you're going to, you're reducing your staff. But you see, you exactly proved the point that by doing this, you can have more throughput in the same physical real estate. You didn't take more real estate, you redesigned the store, right?
Yes.
So you can have more throughput and you're increasing your revenue by this. It wasn't a labor reduction piece,
and this is the point. This is what, led us to invest in this way.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why I found that interesting, or why I would smile if you're talking about robots, but especially lockers. Because I did two things on my way here. The first thing was on the plane, because I wasn't sleeping, I'm like checking up on the web for new technology in restaurants in Brazil. And you know what happened? Zero. Nothing comes up, right? So then I put in immersive technology. Okay, there's a couple of pop-up restaurants that they're doing, the thing with the immersive, right? But it said robots, nothing. So I put in lockers, nothing. And even here at the show, I asked them about lockers when I first got here. And one person said, no. And I said, well, lockers used for pickup, right? And yet, in fact, they really do exist. So for whatever reason, the world is not seeing this, as part of the technology, that fits together. Did I also hear that you did a totally robotic store, or is it only the ice cream side?
It's only the ice cream for this moment. We are planning in the future to have some equipment that we wish we could test, like the fryers and the grill that we've seen in NRA show as well.
Right.
So it's just to standardize, the operation. So we are planning to do this, and we are planning to develop here in Brazil, or we can import one of these equipment to learn, and then if it goes well, we can import more. We import the ice cream machines as well.
Well, it's interesting that the point in that being is that the technology equipment, like cash registers, point of sale, and things like that, that's a little tough, and you don't see a lot of the international brands here because of fiscal printing and some challenges that come with that. But when it comes to kitchen equipment, when it comes to robotics, those are certainly things that, are not going to be, subject to those types of problems to bring them in. And actually recently, I took a look at some of the robotic pieces that you can use your existing fryers and you roll it on top. NRA showed this here. Yeah. They had something like, I thought that was really interesting because restaurateurs never want to get rid of their equipment and they don't want to be told that they have to, so that's the way to do it.
So sometimes you just import the, what we can say, the heart of the equipment, right? In the case of the robot, for example, probably the arms are imported, but the technology is Brazilian.
That's right. So when it comes to the technologies that your company uses, so you mentioned that you learn a lot because you were an early franchisee and you learned from them, but did that mean that the technologies that they were using were not necessarily the ones that you could use in the rest of your operations? So what happens then?
Well, I would like to tell you something that you probably don't know. During the pandemic, we created a VC in BFFC. So we started to invest in some startups, right? And then we started to invest in a fund that, only invests in solutions for retail. so that we have this opportunity to be the first trier of these solutions, right? And then, Rob, we invested in a locker company as well, which is the leader today. They are here in the event. It's called Click Retire. So
this now you're telling me something else. I mean, I go walk and see as soon as we're done here, right?
Yeah. So this is one of the reasons that we like to be pioneer in some of these tests. We are more flexible, so we can go and we can make it wrong, but we can do it fast, right? And then we can test many things because of this venture capital that we created during the pandemic.
Well, listen, you're sort of giving us a pivot point here. So let's just take a quick break, and then we'll come back. And I think we need to focus on a couple of things that just came out there. So I'm with Ricardo Bomeny, the CEO of BFFC, and we're just going to take a quick break, and then we're going to continue the conversation.
With the rapid expansion of technology in the food and beverage industries, finding the right supplier can become overwhelming and complicated. To simplify this process, the IFBTA created Exchange. Exchange is a powerful search tool where users can easily narrow down their technology search and refine results by application type, geography served, department, and more. Browse resources and learn more about the industry's technology suppliers at exchange.ifbta.org. Now, back to the show.
So welcome back. And I'm having a conversation with Ricardo Bomeny, the CEO of BFFC, here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, at the iFood Move Conference. And we've known each other a long time, and we've been talking about what it is to be a franchisee, franchisor, and with over 1,000 units, but also putting in robots, testing new technology. But right before we took the break, you started to talk about investment. So I find this very interesting because there are quite a few restaurant companies around the world, including Shake Shack, Danny Meyer's group, that's investing in technology. And sometimes they're doing it for themselves, which it sounds like you may be doing that. You want to be an early adopter, so that's a whole different discussion, right?
Yes.
But so what actually made you decide to start investing in things like technology?
Well, first of all, we had like 5 years before the pandemic, all this discussion regarding to the digital transformation. And now we have the, IA. So we wanted to be in the front of this. So we have to, work in the culture of our company, our team, to know that we are innovative, that we are in the front of the technology. So this is one of the reasons that we like to do this. And we decided to invest in some of these startups, but we don't create the technology inside of the company.
Right.
We do have some, people working in data.
That would have been the next question. So you're not doing your own technologies inside. So you're really in favor of off-the-shelf technologies.
Yeah.
But also not everything's available today. So you're finding the new ones, investing in it, but you can use your platform as a test.
Yes. We think that we are very good to support our franchisees. We are very good to, take care of the brand and to operate restaurants. Not more than that.
Are you testing in your own stores or are you testing at a franchise store?
Good question. We do both because some of the franchisees help us a lot in testing some products, especially those kind of franchisees that like technology.
Well, that's sort of an important thing too, because there's always this debate with franchisor, franchisee about the word mandate and whether you can insist and mandate the technologies they use. Now, one way around that is you put something in they have to have, like gift cards or something like that, right? Loyalty programs.
Yeah.
But the other way,
I'll tell you something about this. And what
are you going to have a franchise? Are you going to have a franchise association hat on now?
It's not an association; it's a council.
Yeah.
Like a board.
Okay.
But it's not. It's a consultative board.
I understand.
Right? So they are elected by the other franchisees of their region. So we have 9 franchisees in this council, right? And we discuss to them everything that we are doing, and we show them first what we are planning to do, and they contribute. So every time that we want to launch something different, even if it's a product or a new supplier or a new technology, we align with them so that we have them also in our side, but also they can speak to each other.
They're the evangelists.
What we're doing this.
They're an evangelist and they buy in because you brought them in. You don't know how many. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you as a franchisee how that all works. Okay, we won't do that because you control your destiny and in the Bob side of it. But you don't know how many people do not have a franchise council, a franchisee council, or have them in the room when they're selecting systems in particular. And sometimes franchisees do things on their own.
Yes.
Sometimes they get adopted by corporate. You never really know, how that's going to happen. But so you really have them part of the process.
Yes.
All the time. So if we sort of continue just sort of talking about the technology thing, so you're not developing your own, but you are investing, which is very interesting. So, where do you see, not just the future of your company, but also the future, and I don't want to ignore that you used the word retail before. I do not want to forget that one either. But where do you see the technology advancing, in this country, for your business in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, it's always difficult to forecast.
I only
what's
gave
going
you 2 to 3
happen.
years.
Yeah, I know,
10, right?
I know. If it was in the past, you were talking about 5 or 10 years.
5 to 7 because you got to write it up, right?
Yes. I think that the technology will come to help us to be more productive, especially with our employees and with our customers. So everything that we can do to benefit the employees of our company or to benefit the customer, we are going to pursue this.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the labor thing came up, here, and my answer was probably not what they expected, but it was more about how to benefit or how to make it intuitive, for them to use in there as far as the investment. But it is hard to look more than 2 to 3 years out and forecast it. But are you finding that a lot of the investment is really on the software side and what's up in the cloud and then putting the pieces together?
I think so, and also the artificial intelligence, which is in everything today, right? And we are trying to be more productive with our data, right? So at this time, we are doing many things with this. I give you an example. We are trying to customize the offer for every single customer. So as we have their data, because we have
so they're calling that personalization.
A personalization of the offer. Personalization of the offer.
Right.
During the day or during the week, because it's different, the habits of the customer. So we are trying to customize this in a way that benefit the customer.
But you've got to keep, everybody has their culture. And one of the things that people are concerned about is that AI in particular is going to remove culture. And how do you get the culture in? So obviously Bob's is different than some of the other ones. You're a very favorite brand here. You're a home brand here. How do you ensure that as you spend more time digitally, as you said earlier, connecting with customers and your employees, that you maintain your voice? How do you infuse that into how you use the data?
Well, we will continue to be visiting the stores, which take, for instance, 1/3 of my time and my executive team. So we like to go to the store. We like to speak to the people. We like to speak to the franchisees, know what are their challenges, what are their problems, and then we try to solve this in a present way. I know that we have many, today we can do this by Zoom, you can do this by WhatsApp, you can do by telephone, but we'd prefer, I don't think, maybe we are Brazilians.
So, no. Please note that I did not ask you to do this over Zoom. Okay, we are sitting here together having a conversation, but it allows us also to talk about what else is going on. So I'm 100% with you.
Yes,
although long term, maybe past that 3 to 5 years, we do have to deal with how the touch points, how the customer and our employees are going to actually connect and talk to us. Yes. And that's maybe where this starts to develop.
But this is interesting because we had this COVID, right, which was terrible for the world, for people, for mental issues,
right,
etc. And we only did conversations by this kind of, Zoom, etc. And after the COVID, we still do this, but we don't like to do as we used to do it.
Because the technology came around, people got used to it. It's like going to a university, right?
Yeah.
You can do it. There are so many things that COVID did for us, not the negative, but it gave us delivery with people who didn't think that they could deliver. It actually created for me, I look at it as like 2 to 3 new day parts and revenue centers. So forget about the drive-through. I mean, drive-through obviously went up, but any delivery and pickup, which are two different things, the curbside. So new revenue center. It gave us the ability to start doing contactless more and the kiosks that were there. And take home. There are foods that people, I assume that the steakhouses here, I always use that as an example. Nobody ever thought you could take a steak home.
Yes.
And now you get an extra, what was the holy grail, right? You want somebody going extra time a month, right?
Yes.
So from that standpoint, we learned that there were new ways. You mentioned the retail side.
Yes.
Now, I've seen you actually at the retail shows as much as some of the food service shows out there. And one of the things that seems obvious is that the marriage between retail, both convenience store and grocery, and food service operators is coming about. Is that something that you're focused on?
It is. And we learned this in US, right? There are many companies, restaurant companies that are selling some of their products in the supermarket. I think that the benchmark for us was White Castle, because they started to sell the burgers, the sliders in the supermarket.
You said that. They are called sliders. Okay, I get that.
Yes. And then even today, chicken fillet is
everybody.
It's selling the sauces. So we started this, Rob, 15 years ago. And we launched it in a convenience company in Brazil called Select, which belongs to Shell, right? And we made it, and it sold a little bit in accordance with our goals. But we had a problem with the scale of production at that time. Mm-hmm. And then during the COVID, we started to sell again to supermarket, but differently. We kind of licensed a factory, a company that is very well known in Brazil and has this relationship with the supermarkets that we don't know how to do.
So they can produce in mass, and they can sell. And distribute.
And they can distribute. And they can have this relationship that, we don't know how to do this, right? And then they pay royalties for us, right? So today we have 3 SKUs for sauces, and we have the frozen fries as well. And we are going to launch more products in the future. We are very happy with this.
Is there some sort of secret way to the frozen fries? I mean, that's been a tough one for people, right?
It is.
And your fries are sort of one of the special anchors as well.
It is.
So that's a big risk, right?
It is. We changed it a little bit, what we call the specifications, not the formula of this, for you to cook in air fryers in your home. So it's easily, because you don't have the same fryers that we have at the restaurants,
right? Do you think that you're going to end up with air fryers in restaurants?
I don't think we have because we sell a lot of volume, and the air fryers is slowly than the normal fryers.
But people are talking about like sous vide cooking.
Maybe in the future, if there are some ovens that we can have the scale to, just to warm the fries, that we can launch.
Have you looked at vending machines for burgers?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Because there's some now coming out in the U.S. and they're fresh meat vending.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because I would call that food service in a box, right? In there. So you're going into retail and they have to be able to handle your brand. Are you also co-locating in retail, like in a convenience store or something where there might be a Bob's and there might be, the convenience store itself?
Yeah, we did this in the past, but there are 2 things. And one of them you just mentioned, which is not very common in Brazil. One of them is vending machines. Vending machines is not that common in Brazil. Mm-hmm. So people don't want to buy food from vending machines here at this moment, right? And the other thing, which is a little bit different than if you compare to US, for instance, is the curbside. Curbside is not a habit here in Brazil, the pickup curbside. So the delivery is okay. All of the companies are delivering. But not for curbside,
And drive-through. So it's really coming in and doing that. But then the ordering process, I mean, almost all the restaurants I've seen have kiosks. They have kiosk ordering in there, and they have many different ways to do that. So from that standpoint, they're going ahead. So just sort of a last question for you. So, looking at the franchise market, and what's the average for a Bob's franchisee? How many units do they have?
4.
4. Okay, so that's a smaller business person.
Yes.
So if and you explained at the very beginning that that this was a great market to get into franchising in because it was very friendly for entrepreneurs to get in there. Is there some piece of advice, because you have the ability to scale and test new technologies and things, but how does somebody, who's smaller decide, to make that? What would you tell them if they said to you, listen, I'm small, I'm emerging? What would your advice be to them about the technology and the things that they might want to put in?
Choose the right partner. I think that you have to study how you are going to get into this market, and with the right partner. This is very, very important, not only for companies that are coming from outside of the country to Brazil, but also our franchisees. We have to, dedicate time to interview them, to know them,
right,
and to give them the opportunity to know us as well.
But they also have the right tools to understand how to operate a business, because many people may not be in the hospitality or restaurant business before.
Yes.
And then if you have partners also in retail and things, you got to train them as well. So.
Yes, definitely.
Well, listen, it's been great having you on TechBytes. It's always great to sit down with you. This is the first time we've ever done it on air, and it's great to see you. Well, we're not in your hometown, but we're close enough.
Yes.
But now I got to come and I got to see the robot. So that's going to be the next trip that we do. But thank you for joining us on TechBytes, and Ricardo Bomeny from the CEO of BFFC. And here at the iFood conference, the iFood Move conference in São Paulo. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. This podcast is brought to you by the International Food and Beverage Technology Association. The IFBTA is the industry's voice of food service, hospitality, and retail technology, providing thought leadership as your single, impartial, and go-to resource. The IFBTA offers in-person and online communities to connect with your peers, the exchange, an all-encompassing global technology resource, and an industry-wide professional education and certification program. The bottom line is the IFBTA is your place to gather, learn, and share in conversations like the one we're having today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of TechBytes, powered by the IFBTA. I'm Rob Grimes, your host, and I look forward to taking our next bite of technology together.